Hi there, it's Lisa Belleci St. Romain here on Pentecost. So, have my red on. And I wanted to start with the ending first of this reading because the ending has the names of all of these wonderful places. And I used hearts on purpose because they are our brothers and sisters, our ancestors in faith. And the other thing that's kind of incredible is that all these places already were in Jerusalem. For people from all these places were in Jerusalem for what? For the feast at Pentecost. Not that it was called Pentecost then. Were they there because they were gathered to hear about Jesus? That there was faith already moving in that direction, and the the people who were hearing them, had they already heard about Jesus through his ministry? Whether or not they did, they heard them speaking about the mighty acts of God. Okay? So what was being told was about God acting through Jesus. So here we are, Parthians. So it starts over in this section here. Okay? So dark star is Jerusalem, and people have come from Parthians, Medes, Elamites, inhabitants of Mesopotamia, Judea, Cappadocia, Pontus, Asia, so those are happening over here, Phrygia, Pamphylia. So these are actual places right here. One's on the coast, one's farther inland. Egypt, we're familiar with that, and the districts of Libya near Cyrene, as well as travelers from Rome. So Jews, converts to Judaism, Cretans and Arabs too. Cretans would be from Crete and Arabs here. So people have come from many different places. They're gathered from many different places in this one place of Jerusalem. And so I think that's pretty amazing. And so all those names are really important, and please practice them in your Lector workbook. There are pronunciation codes in case you didn't get them all as I was just saying them. And really important not to stumble, because this is the power. This is the power of this reading about all these people gathered who heard them. So it's the opposite of the Tower of Babel, if you remember that story from the Old Testament, that where everything was confused, now everything is heard in the same language. So reading from the Acts of the Apostle. When the time for Pentecost was fulfilled, they were all in one place together, the apostles. And suddenly there came from the sky a noise like a strong driving wind. The wind is the Holy Spirit. So that's the wind that was present in the Genesis story, the wind that split the water in the Exodus story. So the wind, and it filled the entire house where they were. So stretch out that word, filled the entire house in which they were. Then there appeared to them tongues as of fire, which parted and came to rest on each one of them. So the word rest, I was recently looking in a commentary, and the Spirit rested upon Jesus meant that it stayed with him and it never left him. So this resting on each of them may also have that same meaning, that now it's there for good, right? And they were all filled with the Holy Spirit and began to speak in different tongues as the Spirit enabled them to proclaim. That's the amazing part. Now we're going to a narration. Now there were devout Jews from every nation under heaven staying in Jerusalem. So that's how we know Judaism was there. Were they Jesus believers yet? At this sound, they gathered in a large crowd, but they were confused. So let your voice do a little bit different confusion there, right? Because each one heard them speaking in his own language. They were astounded, actually, And it doesn't say actually, but like, let your voice say that actually. And in amazement, they asked, are not all these people who are speaking Galilean? Say that in your best confused, I don't get it voice, okay? Then how does each of us hear them in his native language? So that's the big question. And now here's the list. We are Parthians, so use the different parts of your church as if you were saying, I'm from California, I'm from New York, I'm from Alaska, I'm from, or the countries of Europe and Far East, which most people aren't very clueless about, right? About which is where. Parthians, Medes, Elamites, inhabitants of Mesopotamia, Judea, Cappadocia, Pontus and Asia, Phrygia and Pamphylia, Egypt and the districts of Libya near Cyrene. So they kind of have them organized geographically, as well as travelers from Rome, both Jews and converts to Judaism. Oh, and also Cretans and Arabs too. Yet we hear them speaking in our own tongues, clincher, of the mighty acts of God. Ah, that's the message. Okay, do your best to practice so that it flows, so that people aren't stuck on you getting stuck on the words. God bless.